What is up, friends? Welcome to the Driven Mindset Podcast. My name is Scott Spero. Many of you know me, but we keep getting new people in every day. And when we're publishing out to the podcast station, I hope to capture somebody on the scroll that's looking to maybe brighten their day, enjoy some good positive conversations with. Typically, we are heavy in the sledding industry, so we appreciate everybody that comes from our network and listens to the Driven Mindset podcast. If you'll notice, I'm not in my usual set, so I do apologize if there's any delays. I am in a hotel using some free Wi-Fi, so we hope we can get off without a hitch, but with everything we're doing, we've set this show up, and I've kind of wanted to carry it on to where we could do this on the road and we can get out to different people. And I hope as the season progresses, I can get out there and get some face to face with some people like my main homeboy, Mr. Cody, hunting for a good time as always, is with us tonight. I like to bring him up onto the screen. If you guys are catching this live on Facebook, you get to see our beautiful faces. If you're catching it on a podcast recording, you just got to take our word for it. On this right now, you have the two most handsomest fellas maybe in the snowmobile industry sitting on this screen. And don't ever check our social media out because then we're just completely full of it. But Cody, what is up, my brother? Like to know how you feeling. You're doing some fun things up there. You got to be feeling good about it.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling really good right now and excited for what's to come in the next month. Today makes 1 month from the day that we go racing at the snow bike event. It's been a week of just trial and trying to figure out where we're getting the snowcat and everything like that. But we got all that locked down. We stayed positive through it, and we're moving forward. And it's dumping snow. We've gotten almost a foot in 2 days. So that's really awesome. It's going to be great in the mountains. But I want to say this to everyone that's watching live. I've been watching Instagram stories all day long, and it's very unstable in the Wyoming backcountry right now. So be careful out there if you're going to be going out this weekend. But on the positive side of things, it's going to make this snow bike race absolutely phenomenal.
The positive side of things. The storm door is the positive side. That's what we're naming this show right now, is staying on the positive side of things. That's our theme today. Yeah. But on the positive side of things, man, the storm door is opening. And like you said, with that comes powder fever. Everybody's waited all year to go out and get those fresh turns. Thousands of people have bought sleds that have never been in the backcountry, and they're going to go get those fresh turns. So definitely check with your local avalanche forecaster. And if you don't have one, you got to take the class, get the knowledge. If you live in a spot where you're outside or you don't even know how to access that avalanche forecast, it's extremely important that you fill your bank with knowledge. And just, if you don't know, ask somebody. And don't just assume that you'll be fine because you have all the new shiny gear, eh? Right? Hey, that's our little ode to safety. But okay, let's circle back on the positive side of things. If you guys see, I'm in a hotel room, offset, if you will. I reached out to Cody today. I had this amazing plan built up in my head, and everything was lining up. All the deliveries were showing up. The sled was able for me to pick up on Friday. I had the week scheduled a vacation from work, so I was just going to hammer it out in the shop and get some time to really prepare for winter after doing 75 hard. My life's kind of revolved around that for the last few months. But I got a phone call and my plans changed. Sunday night at 9:30, I had to make a shift, and it was a pretty drastic shift, but I will say I had a choice to make. And this is what I want when we bring our guest on. We got a special guest, and it's not what we advertised. So if you're on to watch Mark Freeman, you got to watch the whole episode because he might jump on at some point. We don't know. But when I got that news where my plans, where my focus was changed, I had a choice to make. And as we start to work through this show, I want everybody to kind of think about that. at any given second, you can choose to have a positive outlook on something. And I'm not saying just fake positive, oh, everything's all right, the world's burning back here behind me, but I'm smiling, so things are good. But you have a choice to make that you can either choose, to be positive about whatever it is you're facing in front of you, or you can choose to be negative and focus on how bad it is and how your personal plans got changed. So I chose the positive, and you know what? I'm having a great time. I'm out here in Utah. If you guys haven't been watching my story, I love this state. It's so beautiful over here. And as soon as I'm like, hey, I get to go to Utah, and I started making it a positive, day's just going good. So with that, that's how I do it.
Sure.
That's how I
It
do
looks
it.
like the hot tub was nice last night.
Bro, dude, the whole time I was going through 75 hard and the surgery, like I wanted access to a hot tub, but I didn't have one. Like I wanted it so bad. So this is actually the first time I've been able to get in a hot tub through all the surgery, all the pain of 75 hard. It was kind of a reward, and I got to crash a Stella, cracked a few Stellas while I was in there too, and that was not bad.
Stoked on that, I'm sure.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. So what can you foreshadow about our guest tonight, bud? Before we bring him up out of the green room, he's eating the crackers and stuff right now. What can you foreshadow about what our guest brings to this conversation tonight? Because I got some ideas.
The guest we're bringing on, I've been snowmobiling with him pretty much ever since I started snowmobiling. I actually bought my first real mod sled from this guest. He's always had a positive mindset on everything. And he just lives life like that. And I think that bringing him on tonight is going to bring a lot, and I mean a lot, of positivity to the show. And his just fire and stoke is so high all the time. I wish I got to see him more, but he's up there at Brooks Lake Lodge guiding all the time, so we don't really get to see him much, but we get to see him tonight, and I'm really excited about it. Scott, who are we bringing on? Who is this guy?
Dude, I will say this about him before we bring him up here, so I don't make him blush. He can get. So every time I've been around him at a snow show or either seen him, doing some sort of post at a snow show, like the dude is always energetic and people always want to be around him and talk to him. And I would say that is a key ingredient to, like, that's just an outlying, a secondary application of being positive, staying positive, and actually really doing it and living it, is people choose to be around you and seek you out to talk to you. So with that said, our special guest tonight, coming live from Brooks Lake Lodge, Mr. Skinner Bell, the man in pink, like not Johnny Cash style. He is the man in pink 90% of the time, which I got to give you a shout out, brother. Man, I'm raised in the rodeo world. I am through and through tough enough to wear pink. I have personally led a ton of fundraisers around the rodeo industry and put on rodeos specifically geared towards the Tough Enough to Wear Pink campaign, and I understand what it means, and it's a rad color, and you're a rad guest. And dude, thanks for jumping on in short notice, brother.
Hey man, I was just glad. I was like, Cody's like, what are you doing right now? I just got off my sled. I'd run down to the end of the road. We can't get packages or anything here at the lodge because we are 5 miles in on snowmobile trail.
Nice.
So, so I'm on a snowmobile no matter what all the time, which is awesome. Whether it be my personal sled or my rental sleds, like we run back and forth on the road. We use the 4-stroke Aces because I get good fuel mileage. And Cody's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I just got back off my snowmobile. He's like, well, can you jump on the show? I'm like, yeah, can you give me a minute to switch into some street clothes here? But no, it's awesome to be on here with you guys. Like every chance I get, I try to follow you guys. I'm so busy on like catching the tail end of the live shows, the beginning of the live shows. So, believe it or not, my dad just pulled in right now as he's out grooming the trails up here. So, which is pretty cool. I'm on a live show, so but no, it's pretty cool. So I don't get to see my dad much, especially all summers. I'm so busy, but he works up there at Togedy. He's one of those trail groomers, so got to be nice to them trail groomers. So my dad always stops by when he always has these runs. So which is always awesome. Yeah, but it's like I said, it's always great to come on and do these shows, and especially with you guys, especially with Cody.
Yeah.
Now we got to see Cody all year or for a while, because I live up here at 9,200 feet, and he lives like 3.5 hours from me down there in Alpine. So,
dude, I have this picture. So, like, I'll admit, I have got to get up there. Like, I just have to make it a priority, because I have this thing pictured in my mind. Because Cody's like, I can just snowmobile out of back of my yard up to all this cool stuff, and then kind of where I got you pictured at with Brooks Lake Lodge. I'm like, it's all just kind of one giant snowmobiling playground, which I'm sure there's some wilderness mixed in there that you got to kind of work your way through and around and tiptoe. But it just seems like an outstanding area, just all the way around, with lots of different applications. And I know a lot of people travel out to Brooks Lake, and specifically, I want to say probably return customers that come just because of the experience they get to have with you out on the snow. And probably some of the positivity and good times and lessons and just all around fun they have up there. It looks like a blast, man.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about being here at Brooks Lake. We're one of the only lodges. We are 5 miles in on the snowmobile trail, and so once you get here, it's awesome. Like, if our guests come in, if they bring their own snowmobiles, we meet them down. We have a state parking lot, just like another quarter mile from our parking lot. We have a van with tracks on it. So we go down there, pick up all their gear. Then they ride their sleds up. I mean, it's awesome. If you don't have sleds or don't want to bring your sleds, but most of us sled heads, we always want to bring our sleds. So, and the cool thing like that was, if they do bring their own sleds, we do sell gas to our in-house customers. We are very limited on gas. I mean, I only have 6,000 gallons of gas to get me through these 90 days that we're open in the wintertime. If I run out, it's 55-gallon drum and a hand pump. And you'll look like Popeye by the end of the time when you're done. But, it's still worth it for your snowmobile and all that. So
absolutely. I remember times growing up when we had all the family riding out of our cabin and filling, I don't know, at times we'd run 13 to 15 sleds out of the garage, just family, no rentals or nothing like that. But filling up was a chore. Daily chore, and you're doing it day in and day out. We'd be up there for Christmas and ride 10 days in a row. I can drink some gas. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a great thing here. Like I was saying earlier, we're so unique. I mean, all I have to do is go out 300 yards out of my front gate here at Brooks Lake Lodge, and if we get 3 foot of snow, I am the first one in it. I am the first one compared to like Togedy and everybody else. My guys and gals love it, especially if they're a hardcore backcountry or even the one of the beginners, because we got the lake just right down, not even a quarter mile from here, so we could play around, practice side hills, powder carves. They just absolutely love it because it's fun. And anybody was on the snow.
If anybody was wondering how Skinner possesses the positive mindset and the continuous positive vibrations, it's that right there. Yeah, he has the backcountry 300 yards out of his front door. Like, us poor folk just down here living in the cities, just struggling with traffic. Like, we got to work a little extra hard.
My traffic is snowmobiles, and maybe some wildlife in the summer, some horse jams when I do trail rides, stuff like that. You run into a grizzly bear, things might get a little crazy, but you still got to keep a good positive vibe and keep doing it. So it's always awesome.
While we got 15 people live on here, anybody that's not familiar with the Brooks Lake Lodge, I'll circle back, or if you want to drop a website page into the comments, I'd sure appreciate that. But anybody that's listening will definitely get a link patched in here so you can really picture and see what Skinner's talking about. Cody, have you been up there yourself?
What's that? Sorry, I was asking my dad to help me out, so I was missing that. Sorry, I apologize.
I changed it to get to Cody.
Oh, Cody, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a few years since I've been up to Brooks Lake. Skinner and I went up, I would say it was 6 years ago, right, Skinner? Somewhere in there, when I came up and saw you last, and I haven't been up since. And I'd love to make it up there because I know that the lodge went through a lot of changes due to the fire and everything like that. And I'd love to come up and see it again and, get up there and ride 30 seconds from your back door and go ride some serious backcountry. Because I remember the day you and I went up there, I was chasing you through the trees, and you're a wild man, and you still are. So definitely want to get back up there.
We were both on 600s that day.
Yep. Yes, we were.
Because the last 3 years is the first time I've ever rode and guided off an 800. Well, except last year I had a supercharger, but rather than that, I've always guided out of my over 20 plus years on a 600.
I have a legitimate question, because I was reading the latest Snow West magazine, and the editor wrote an article about the 600, and I was still searching for my snow check, so I started shopping for 600s just because they sounded fun. Physical fatigue through the day. How do you feel a full day of riding pow pow on a 600 physically how physically demanding is it to, riding a full day on an 800 or 850 deep pow, same type of conditions? Like, I mean, because the weights are similar, but do you feel like the 800 physically demands more out of you when you're riding like that, or same?
800 is a cheat. It's a cheat because you have the horsepower.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, like if you ride a 600, it's all about finesse. It's all about looking forward, planning ahead, and you got to be one, no matter what sled you ride, especially like if you're an 850 or supercharged, but 600, you got to know your finesse with that, the throttle response, playing the throttle, ballet. It's like snowmobiling's ballet. I mean, once you figure it out, it don't matter what sled you're on. But like the more horsepower you get, it's the easier it is. You can be like, oh, I can blow through that. With a 600, you're like, okay, I'm almost to the top. Oh no, which way do I go now? So you always got a plan. But I mean, by the end of the day, but if you get used to riding, and that's the thing with me is I ride for over and guide for over 100 plus days. So, I mean, the first week, like I've been working out the last month and a half, an hour to 2 hours every night in the gym here.
Perfect.
Riding a bike, doing burpees, all that, trying to get all these new muscles that snowmobiling, you forget about snowmobiling. And like the first week, man, it's like I roll out of bed, it feels like someone beat me with a baseball bat. I mean, because you're just finding all these new muscles. And, but you know what? It's still so much fun. I mean, it don't matter if it's a 340 fan or one longer. It's you got to have fun. That's the thing. That's what snowmobiling's all about.
At the end of the day, we do the raddest thing there is on the planet, and honestly, I could say that's why I do it, because I've messed around with all the things, like not all of them, but a lot of the stuff, and there is nothing out there as rewarding, as fun, as challenging, other than maybe golf, that that is snowmobiling. I mean, I can't really compare those two things, but you're never, every day you go out, there's room for improvement, and there's mistakes that could be made. So I like the challenge, and I like the able to push myself, and it's been fun, man. These machines are silly these days, so it becomes extremely easy to push yourself every year past where you even thought you could get to. So there's another way to stay positive, is looking forward to all the new things we get to do each year because of how we can each progress. So
it's you look at the sleds. I've been in this industry my whole life. My dad was a guide at Cody for over 30 years before I started guiding. And so I've been guiding now for 26 years. Well, actually a little longer than 26 years. I just fell into it. Mom and dad were like, oh, don't do what I like to do. And you know what? I love it. I love being outdoors. I love being around horses. I love hunting. I love experiencing new things with all these vast people I get to deal with. I mean, I even get, which is really cool, Tony Jenkins hooked me up with all these guys from Iceland. And Tony Jenkins has got to come up here several times and ride with me with these Iceland groups. And let me tell you what, those guys from Iceland are some of the coolest laid back people ever. They love coming here to the States, and they don't have any trees back home. It's all, you know, vertical, straight up ice, everything. So they want to ride the nastiest trees, nastiest drainages. And dude, they get stuck. They wreck sleds. They look at me. They're like, Skinner, like, how much is this going to cost? I'm like, I don't know. Let's stick it out. Let's keep going. You know, I mean, seriously, like, they have such a positive vibe. It is so cool. Dude, they're just a hoot to be around all the time. And I'm kind of bummed this year because the COVID thing and everything, I probably won't get to see them this year because their restrictions are shut down there. So it's going to be really tough, but that's why they love watching all my snow videos and everything on Facebook and Instagram. So they're all like, yeah, keep up the good work, you know? And so, yeah, it's, you know, it's always fun. You know, it's like everybody looks at every sport, you know, every sport you got to look at, from football, basketball, NASCAR, whatever. And you look as a group, as a whole, as snowmobilers, yeah, we're going to razz each other because I ride an Art-Cat, you ride a Skidoo, whatever. You know, we're going to razz each other when they break down. But what it boils to down at the end of the day with the snowmobile community is we're all there for each other. We all help each other no matter what. You know, and that's the cool thing about the snowmobile industry is we're all there together, you know. But yeah, we all might ride different sleds and be sponsored by people. And yeah, we're going to razz each other, but that's a camaraderie. You know, that's just guys and gals being what we are, you know, to give each other crap. You know, I'm towing you in because you broke down today, and I'll do the same thing when I tow you in, you know. So, you know, that's the real cool thing about it. So
I love it. And I think that a lot of, I don't know, just what kind of, if you want to go, what gets me through the year and staying positive, and I've talked about this before in extents, is I, on the drive out here to Utah, for instance, one of my main guys that I work with, I'm like, man, I miss my sled. I just got it. It's in the garage. It's new. It's all tore apart. And he's like, he just kind of looked at me weird, and I'm like, well, it's not that it's a toy to me. And I'm like, because it means like that machine means way more to me than just a toy or, you know, somebody's new dirt bike or new razor or whatever. It's my connection to my past and my grandpa and my family, and cues all those memories. But being able to get through the rough times of the summer or the fall when it's not winter and you're not thinking about the next ride, like, I have that ability to tap into, you know, some of the feelings, some of the mindset, some of the reward I get from riding all winter, to help pull me through that rough patch, that, you know, grind of work. So many of us just hump all summer long to be able to do what we can for 40, 50 days of winter, let alone 100, which is completely different. And hats off to that. But we'll get into that because I want to ask about actually working your hobby into a lifestyle. But a lot of people don't have that. They, you know, and the dude's like, I don't really have, like, he's like, I enjoy doing a lot of things, but I don't have that thing like you that just you think about and you work towards and you do every day of the week. I think about it, and it's a way for me to stay positive. The whole COVID thing, like, man, people that don't have that ability to detach from the situation and make the decision to find something out in the future to be positive about, it's really challenging. We have that. What can you say, you know, can you pick up there and give any experience that you kind of go through, things you do, maybe to get through the year? I mean, we all have the riding stuff and the guidance stuff and the, you know, the Icelanders that are coming to visit, but you still have to be able to maintain that year in and year out when you're not riding. It's not really a question. It's more of a statement. Maybe one of you guys could pick it up because I'm out of things to say about it. But that's what we have, and I'm fortunate to have it.
Go ahead, Cody.
I think, Scott, what you're trying to get at is, you know, Skinner, what what drives you up there? What keeps you positive? You know, outside of snowmobiling, working at a lodge where you're 40 miles from Du Bois, I think, right?
38. Yeah, close. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're 40 miles from Du Bois. You're 5 miles from any civilization. You're up there at a lodge. You're there during the summer, but 90% of the time you have the team. It's it's a small team during the summer, I imagine. So what keeps you positive? What, your thinking traits, stuff like that. Like that's what we kind of structured this show around tonight, was just positive thinking rather than negative thinking.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough because we're open 90 days in the summer. We usually open right around June 15th, June 20th, depending on snow. Then we close September 15th. Our winter season, it's 90 days. And that summer season, we're just strictly to our guests. And then the winter time, we open right around December 20th and we close March 15th. And for those 90 days, we have to be open to the outside public, just in our Forest Service permitting and everything. So that's why we open up for lunch, so we can cater to people, especially in the wintertime. We were one of the only ones on this side of the mountain open for lunch. Lava Mountain Lodge, 8 miles, I shouldn't say down the road, down the trail from me, is actually a new owner just bought that. So they are actually going to be open for lunch this year. It's tough. It's a totally different mindset. Summertime, we can run up to 38 to 40 people in-house is our max capacity here in the summer. And we'll have anywhere from 28 to 31 employees. Then in the wintertime, max capacity 15 to maybe 20. Depending on how the guys want to sleep, because a lot of guys don't want to sleep in the same bed and all that. And but in this winter we kind of upped our staff. We have 21 people on staff this year. We have some extra people outside to help shovel. There's a lot of our lodge and our cabins is historic. They were all built in 1922. So we're almost 100 years old now here at the lodge.
Oh, wow.
Some of the cabins. So it's really cool. And that you just got to have a positive mindset. I mean, that's the summers are easy. I'll tell you that. The summers are easy. You get to the wintertime, it's tough because everybody, gets that fever. Cabin fever is what you want to call it. And they don't want to, they kind of get bored with going outside, snowshoeing, riding snowmobile, so a lot of our employees, we let them leave a lot in the wintertime so they can keep sanity. And they're like, well, how long? Well, I've been here 20 years. And they're like, well, how can you do it? That's a crazy thing. They always ask me. And yeah, there's days that get to you. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you kind of drag yourself down and it's just like, crap, I need to get off the mountain is what we call it,
Oh yeah.
And every once in a while I do, but it's so tough because I've been here so long and I know all the ins and outs of the property. It's tough for me to leave because usually when I leave, something happens. I kind of feel responsible, but I'm like, it's my day off. I want to hang out and see some of my buddies, ride different places if the snow's good, because I kind of get picky towards the end of the year. If it's spring snow, I don't want to go out all the time, because I do it every day for a living, but it's still fun. I mean, you got to go out, even if it's just watching, because I'm getting too old now to do those stupid jumps. I've done it enough. I broke my back twice and, I learned my lessons. So, but winter,
Skinner, you're not supposed to land on fence posts.
Well, fence posts or straight to flat because you misjudge it and you have to go through avalanche debris to jump something and you forget about that until you're midair. But winter's
yeah, tougher. You did that too.
Winter's really tough. I mean, it's just draining because you don't have sun all the time. Your body's lacking vitamin D and all that from the sun, and so winter's tougher. You just always got to think of the positives, and that's the cool thing here is with all our guests that come here, especially return guests or even new guests. I look forward to meeting them because it's like, especially if they return, it's like old home week every 3, 5, 7 days. we get this new group in, it's the same group, then you're looking forward, like, all right, let's shake the cobwebs off today, we say haven't rode all year, and you're like, okay, you kind of giggle, everybody's laughing, man, I feel stupid because I'm like, dude, it's your first time on your snowmobile, you gotta relearn everything, and by second, third day, they're picking up on it and getting it, and it's so cool to watch people improve. They're like, hey, we want to work on this today, side hills or whatever. I'm like, okay, we'll mess around with it for like 10, no more 20, 30 minutes, maybe no more an hour. Because if you constantly work on something, one technique, you're going to get tired, you're going to get fatigued. And that's what teaches you bad habits. And so what I'll do is I'll let them mess around for 20, 30 minutes, and I'll make them do it. Then I put them in scenarios where they have to do it. And that's the cool thing. It was like their eyeballs get all big and they're like, oh no, we can't do this. We can't do this. I'm like, dude, you were just doing it over here like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, go through the principles, look forward, get on your edge, just ease through. I'm like, don't think about the bad. Don't look at the tree, because you want to look forward. Where you're going to look is your hands are going to take you. And then they do it, dude. And that is the coolest thing, is when they do it, man, they're so excited. They're like hugging me, tackling me in the snow, and I'm just like, and I always try to pull out my phone and video it, and make little videos on my iPhone for them why the whole trip, why they're here every day, and then give them a good video at the end. And no, it's just so neat to watch everybody improve and grow. It's just so awesome.
It's creating that positive experience, man. And I see it. I see it on people's stories or social media. It's like they look forward that they get to go back there, and it's all built around that experience that you and the other staff create for them. I mean, there's a numerous amount of lodges and riding places people can go. But it's really that user experience that keeps them coming back there. Like, hey, we'll book the same weekend for next year. It always seems to snow. Like, I don't know what is with that. Like, I know certain areas, like it just snows that weekend there always. It just works out that way a lot of times.
Dude,
like,
it's like crazy. I get this one group. They're kind of all over. They're a chemical sales group, all over for corn, wheat, and all that. And it seems like the last 10 years, like we'll have no new snow, and they're like, "Oh, Skinner, come on!" And as soon as they get here, it dumps and dumps and dumps. Not last year, but the year before, they got stuck here because airports and roads were closed. So they were here for 4 days, their scheduled trip. Well, they ended up staying for 8.
Nice.
And on the last day, we were getting 2-3 foot dumps every day. Last day, they were spent. Like, they were done. I was like, dude, we have to go ride just for the morning. I was like, just for the morning. And they're like, we're riding the same area every day. I'm like, yeah, you can't even see our tracks. Isn't this awesome? And by like noon, they're like, cut the plug. Like, I mean, just easy stuff. Just
we're done.
Trees. They're like, rup, rup. And they're like, Skinner, we are so sorry. I'm like, hey, dude, I kind of push the envelope, because I want you guys to experience this, because it's, and then and we haven't had a year like that again, but every time they come, it's like 2 to 3 foot dump right when they're here. And I'm like, how? Why? I'm like, you guys cannot leave. You guys are stuck here because I want this all the time for all my guests.
You're on the clock. Here's a question for you. As an instructor and a guide, not only are you helping people, improve in the backcountry riding sleds, you have to help them overcome their own inner I can't do that.
Yep.
What are some ways that you personally can kind of influence their mindset to, because I've rode with those people that they just literally could do it if they could just tell themselves they can.
Yep.
And what are some strategies you use to get people over those mental roadblocks when they tell themselves they can't before they even leave the parking lot?
It's different for everybody. Everybody individual has that. And it's you picking up and reading that, like watching their body language, how they ride. And like a lot of times what I do, they're like, oh, we can't side hill or we can't get it up on edge. So what I'll do is I'll either stick them on my personal sled, my guide sled, or I'll even jump on their sled, whatever brand they're riding, and like have them sit in front of me like this, hold the handlebar mountain strap or handlebars, or just hang on. I'll do it like 5-10 mile an hour and just sit there and explain how to do it. And they're like, oh, I guess we can.
That makes so much more sense.
I'm like, and I sit there and explain to it, kind of yelling at them. Depends on how loud their sled is. I'm like, it's super easy. With the guys, it's a lot of guys don't say that.
Yeah.
It's the women, and it's cool. I like riding with the women, especially couples, because I've been doing a lot of couple rides up here. And their husbands are really good riders, and they're getting their wives into it. And they're like, Skinner, we're going over here. They're like, and they tell me straight up every year, I already know this trip is all about my wife. This trip is all about my wife. If I can keep her in this, or their girlfriend, if I can keep her in this, because they love it. And the hardest thing is, when you're with someone, couple, married or not, if you've been with them, they know your mannerisms.
You can't coach them.
If just the tone of your voice, by the way you say it, anything like that, they know because they've been around you, and they're like, oh, then they get all defensive. And that's when they're like, Skinner, it's all about you. And they're like, okay. And I'll do the same thing with women, put them on, go through it. I'm like, okay, let's go back, and then they do it. And oh, dude, it's so cool. Watch them do it, and they get stuck. So I'll go over there and help them. And I'll be like, all right, what's going on? What happened? How did you get here? I kind of, and sometimes they get mad, they're real mad and they're frustrated because they got stuck. So I kind of flip it and I'll be like, all right, let's go through the principles here again. What I was telling you, showing you how to do this. I'm like, okay, what did you do to get to this point? Well, I was too tired and I didn't get on the gas. I let off the gas. I was like, okay, great. No big deal. They're like, oh, we're stuck. Good. I'm like, no big deal. I'm here. That's why you pay me. They're like, well, how are we going to get it out? I'm like, I don't know. Tell me how you would get it out. So I'd switch it, because I'm like, how do you do this? I'm like, if you go out with a bunch of other ladies, I want to make sure you guys can figure all these different scenarios out. And dude, it's so cool. It's like, well, what if we do this and this? I'm like, yeah. But I was like, no offense. You being a woman was like, you're not as strong as us. There's other ways you can cheat the system to get your sled out unstuck, and you won't be as tired at the end of the day. They're like, what? They're like, well, my husband and the guys are always muscling around. I'm like, I weigh 135 pounds, and I do this all day, every day. I'm like, there's cheater ways. And once you show them, they're like, boom. They're like, they get it. And I had a couple, or two couples, was it 2 years ago? Because they didn't come out last year. And they're from Minnesota. And the guys went up in the trees. And I was working with the girls. And I was like, I'm going to spend 30 minutes. I haven't heard any sleds. So I told the girls, it's like, I'm going to go check on the guys. It's snowing like crazy. So we're in some pocket meadows. And they were both stuck. So I went up there and got them out. We came out and I stopped them before we got to that pocket meadow. And they both were stuck like 100 yards apart, like buried, like auger in. I was like, shut your sleds off. I was like this, I was like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're just going to sit here for a minute. The one guy's like, my wife ain't going to go over there and help her. They're best friends. This ain't going to happen. I'm like, just give it like 5-10 minutes. One walked over there. They packed it out like I did. One little ski pole push, popped that one up. They walked over to the other sled, rolled it over, did the same thing. And they were like, holy S, they're like, that was awesome. I was like, okay, let's go down now.
Nice.
So we get down there. They're like jumping up and down. They're like, you guys just missed this. You just missed it. I'm like, missed what? Oh, we were stuck so bad, but we got each other out. I was like, well, to tell you the truth, I was like, we're all sitting right here in the trees watching you. Like, did we do good? I'm like, oh yeah, the husbands are
You're unstuck. You did great.
Yeah, the husbands were just like, I was like, there you go. They're like, we want to keep doing this. I was like, that's what I want to hear, It's just so cool. I mean, it's hard to explain to put in words when you're out with groups like that. You get to see people achieve that, It's just
building. It's building belief. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
that was like a perfect example, because that's where my mind went as soon as I asked the question without trying to, give my answer. It's showing somebody the ability to believe in themselves to overcome a challenging situation. And it's funny how much that applies to the rest of the stuff that we struggle with, like in our day to day. It's most of the time when you're feeling that negative and you got that kind of that down attitude or that defensive attitude, it's because you're not probably believing in yourself that you can overcome it and you can beat it, and that's where the guards go up.
Oh yeah. Like trust me, I don't write great every day, but there's certain days like my guests are like, what the heck are you doing? They're like, why did you get stuck here? I'm like, dude, I'm having an off day. I am sorry, but I'm going to try to struggle through this and try my best. I'm like,
we all got those. It ain't all sunshine and rainbows in my neck of the woods all the time. But the trick is you try to make the vast majority, you know what I mean? It's you make the majority of them as best they can be, because it ain't always, it ain't always ideal and it ain't always perfect. Uh, Cody, he was talking to me earlier, and he's trying to help somebody, see positive, and it just that's kind of made me think of it. It's so many people right now are getting focused on the doom and gloom. I watched the news for the first time since COVID hit, like the real TV news, last night, because I'm in a hotel room and it had TV. I watched the news, and man, I got disappointed. I started to emotionally feel different just by what I was listening to on the TV, and like it was sad. I like no God, no thank you. I don't want to watch the TV anymore. Um, and that's why I say, like I say it a lot, is it's a lot of what you're putting into your brain that is going to come out of your emotions. It's going to come out in your energy, your vibration, and sometimes it's hard. It's really, really, really hard to not listen to that stuff. And if Michael Flower says haven't had cable in 2.5 or 12 years, yeah, me neither. I don't know, five
Good
or six.
call.
I haven't had TV, watched it, cared about it. I mean, I see what I see on Facebook, just how that thing works, but you got to choose what goes into your mind, and the more positive people you can be around, the better energy you can find yourself. We can't all live at Brooks Lake Lodge and have just people there on vacation happy as can be all the time, but everybody can find ways and find positives in situations they're in, and I hope this show and the podcast kind of communicates that to people. It's, if you don't have it, hey, tune into us. We're just a bunch of regular people, enjoy riding sleds, try to be the best versions of ourselves day in and day out, and then we bring guests on each week like Skinner to get an outside input into what they do. And so appreciate you taking the time today. I'm not wrapping this up by no means. I want to talk more about it, but once I get going on these rants, it's just like, man,
yeah,
it's
you don't want to stop.
it seems so simple to do until you're out there in the trenches going like, all right, how am I positive? This situation is terrible.
Yeah.
I'm upside down in a creek and ain't one friend know where I'm at right now.
And that's the thing. Like, even as a guide, like trying to teach my new guides and all that, even if you get stuck in the scenario, which it happens, guiding, trust me. There's places where it's going to be good and you want to get your guests there, and there might be trees or creeks open, and you get above their heads and get above their riding ability. And then what if that happens and they all start getting stuck? They're like, oh my God, it is a trickle effect through the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like, I've been there guiding long enough, and even a couple of my new guys, I'm like, hey, don't be afraid to admit, be like, hey, I just screwed up. This happened. I'm like, hey, I screwed up. Don't worry. We're going to get out. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make it better. We'll go back over here, dial it down a little bit. I'm sorry, And, once you tell your guests that, dude, it just flips back around. They're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
He just came out and said he messed up. He put us, it's not like a bad scenario where we're going to die or spend the night. It's just like,
It just changed the vibration of the group because everyone's stuck and they're not enjoying the day anymore. So, dude, Jocko Willink, I don't know if you listen to him or know who he is, but he talks about that a lot in his extreme ownership and his tactical guide. It is 100% the only option when you F up to say it right then, honest. I own this. I did this. This is how I messed up. And this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And what's funny is there's one of my kids' books I was reading to him when he was like, I think it was Daniel Tiger or something, which I'm going off. Parents probably know this, but it was the same principle, but I never understood it. Like, it was glossy and kid-ish, and then Jocko's talking about it. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is the same thing, but admitting, and so many guys are terrible about it. Like, oh, I didn't take the wrong turn. I got this.
I ain't afraid to admit it, man. We're all human, you know.
And it actually raises you up a level when you do it, whether you do it consciously or not. If you're, whether it's somebody you work with or somebody you're guiding, or just in your inner circle, when you you'll get more respect 9.9 times out of 10 by saying I messed up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, that's the biggest thing with guiding. Like, the first couple of days are the easiest, then towards the tail end, especially if the people are haven't, you watch their body language and mannerism, and you can watch them the first couple of days. It's just like I say, don't go over here, don't go over here. They're just like, shotgun everywhere. They're like, there's a creek. Dang, he's stuck in the creek. Hopefully he's okay, Towards the tail end of the week, they start listening. Then towards the end of the week, especially in the afternoons, it's like, you got to pay attention to them because, they're not used to the elevation, not less, no oxygen. They can't breathe, And, a lot of them, like to drink at night, don't hydrate. That's the biggest thing here with us, is we're at 9,200 feet. We're one of the highest lodges here. And it's like, dude, if you want to drink, at least have a glass water. First night, they don't listen. Next day, they're like, okay, we'll start listening. I'm like, this isn't my first rodeo, but you just got to watch them, especially when people get tired, that's where the mistakes happen. Then you got to figure it out. Let them sit there for a while because you can't rush them. Because if you rush them, they don't have their wind. They're going to get stuck again and stuck again. Then that's when they get frustrated. And then it's just like, you know what? How about you give me a little ski pole and I'll just pop it up here for you. And we'll sit here and drink some water and take like a 10-minute break. So like, oh yeah, that'd be a great idea. Sit there, let them relax. And they're like, we're tired. I'm like, I know you're tired. We just got to get right through here. We'll pop on the trail and lodge is right there. They're like, but we're coming in a different way. We went a long ways away. I'm like, trust me, we get through these trees, you're going to see the lodge and you're just going to go, oh yeah, almost back. And you're just going to rejuvenate, and it's pretty cool.
So as a semi-professional unstucker, if you will, they say guide, but you're just a professional unstucker. I was having a conversation the other night with old man Stucky. He's a close friend of mine. I don't know if you guys have followed him on Instagram yet, but
oh yeah,
Stuck Happens Co. He asked me what I personally thought, and I want to get an expert's opinion. Where does it classify as a stuck to you?
Well, if you need more than one person.
Need more than one person? You're stuck?
Yeah.
If you can get out by yourself, you're not stuck?
Well, you're still stuck, but it's always nice to have help. But if you don't see me stuck, I'm not stuck because I get myself out pretty dang quick. But I'm usually the one breaking the trail to get up there. And they're like, were you stuck? I was like, nope, I was taking a 5-minute break.
You're all covered in snow, like everywhere on top of the hood. You're like,
take my helmet off. It's just steaming. They're like, you were stuck? I was like, you can't prove it.
You didn't see it.
There's like 6 inches of fresh snow. You go up in the trees and you come out and you're just completely covered in snow. And you're like, nah, I wasn't stuck. I
wasn't stuck.
I wasn't stuck. I didn't roll.
They're like, well, we want to go that way to see. I'm like, nope, that's a bad way. We're going this way. This way is easier.
Scott, to answer, I think if you are stuck you are in the same spot for more than 30 seconds and your hands leave the handlebars.
Ooh, that is some strictness there. If your hands leave, because if you're doing pin and wiggle for 7.5 minutes, you're not necessarily stuck.
You're not stuck. You're still moving.
You're moving. Just snails.
But your hands never left the handlebars. Yeah.
I like that.
So
I like that.
So I don't think you're stuck unless your hands leave the handlebars.
You know what's cool too is people don't really think about it is how good you can get at getting stuck once you learn how to really get stuck. You can you think about, say, take 10 years ago when you're stuck. Like, you're not even stuck. Your track's spinning there. It's super easy. But like once you learn how to really get stuck, man, it's easy to get stuck real bad. I would say my definition is if your machine gets turned off and you can't start from the same position you were in.
Okay, that works.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I get stuck, it's usually stupid stuck. So
yeah, exactly.
I need a lot of people to help me.
Because
if you get really stupid stuck.
Oh God.
We were all talking there.
Yeah, last year after I got my supercharger built, it's just me and the guides going out. And it was probably my third day. Yeah, it was my third day after I picked it up from Jason Nethercott because he installed my supercharger. And we were pulling this long, nasty side hill through this creeks, and we come down, and I come up, and I ended up hitting a log under 3.5 foot of snow, and it was angled. And I'm like, okay, so I spun out, so I really gave her the onion, and well, the thing flipped over on top of me backwards. And if they weren't there, I'd have spent the night and probably been dead. I mean, it was all I could do was I couldn't even pull my tether because it was on top of me. I just reached over like that with my chin and shut my tether or hit my kill switch.
My sled went out. You were stuck.
Yeah, I was underneath, and they're like taking pictures, and I'm swearing, I'm like, hurry up, get this damn thing off me, because every time I'd move, I kept sinking with the sled, and I was kind of panicking, I was like, I want out of here now, they're all giggling, and I was like, ha ha ha, funny,
With as many.
I still laugh about it today, but
with as many chopped tunnels as I've seen coming out of the social medias this year, I think there's going to be a lot of those upside down mousetrap scenarios to be talked about, unfortunately. And
that's why you need to ride in pairs.
Especially now more than ever. But you can say it. So I would say that is a big, progression. It's as simple as it seems. It's the industry has kind of changed a little bit this last year, 2 years. I mean, if you're an Arctic Cat rider, 10 years ago it changed. I get that, but the rest of the industry that's moving to, the high horsepower short tunnel, it's a little step up, and a lot of people aren't quite at the level that the machine just went to. I mean, it's those little 10% changes. You look at what fuel injection did, that was a massive change, but it systematically changed what we were all able to do on sleds. We're kind of off the positive mindset, but I'll figure a way to get it back to it in a minute. That's what I do with this show. I see that change happening this year, and people doing it that maybe don't quite need their sled to come over the top so quickly.
That's why you always ride with a buddy.
And that's yep. And that's exactly why Polaris is not chopping tunnels.
I would say so.
A lot of people don't. Yeah, that I'm telling you, that's why they're not doing it, because a lot of people don't realize how fast those sleds will come up over you now. There is no wheelie bar. There is no stopping. You can be on flat ground, and those sleds will be over background or over backwards.
Yeah,
I watched David Johnson put it on a supercharger. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're throwing boost at it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like you think about it, like in the last 20 years, look where the sleds come from, man. It's what's going to happen in another 20 years. Are we even going to be in the snow? Are we going to hover above the snow? You know, I'm going to lose it if we hover above the snow because we can't get face shots.
Right.
Will your snowmobile flip over like this and automatically turn over?
You ride upside down? Yikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Most snow conditions would be terrible.
Yeah, you could hit endless booters all day and just land in air. Oh, that would be fun.
No bomb hole.
That would change some things.
Yeah, that'd seriously change it.
I know my back's starting to hurt, Skinner.
Oh, yeah.
I would much rather it just float anymore. But
oh, yeah, me too. So that I can keep up with all you young guys.
Hey, me. I don't know. I feel pretty.
I'm sure, Skinner, you will do just fine.
But no, so Cody, what else is going on new with you? Have you heard yet? When are you going to get the sled?
So I was actually on the phone with them yesterday, and we're dealing with some COVID problems right now because they're over in Canada, of course. So we're kind of dealing with that right now, and we're just gonna kind of play it by ear. They really want to deliver it, in person. It's new. So, and they also want to do a big demo tour as well. So we were talking about taking it to Island Park and, taking it up to you and bringing it to Alpine and bringing, the demo tour around. So we're definitely trying to set that up. I was on the phone with them yesterday and things are looking good, but COVID's putting a dampener on things. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you there, with all the sponsors and stuff I got, I've just been keeping that positive attitude. I just got my sled, got it last week.
I saw that.
I'm just, I'm still waiting for a lot of parts right now.
Yes.
It is what it is. I know I'm going to get it. Yeah. Is it delaying me putting my sled together? Yeah. So what? I mean, the snow's not that great right now.
Right.
I mean, I know it'll happen. It's just everything with COVID, it's changing everything. You got to keep that positive attitude, It's coming. It's coming. I'll get it. And once I get it, I know I'll get it done. I'll get it done and get my sled built, and now my sponsor's like, oh, we're so sorry. I'm like, hey, I
get it.
I get it. It's not only you. They're like, we want you to get this and this because we know you open and you put it in front of the public and you let people ride your sled and demo your sled with you. I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, it's not only you, it's everywhere across the board.
One thing I've made a conscious effort to do is like when you do get that call from the, whatever parts company that you're dealing with, and they're like, hey, it looks like it's going to be another 2 weeks. We're super sorry. And to bring the show back around to exactly how I started it, we all have that ability to make that decision right there, is to find a way to lift them up on that side of the phone, because I know they want nothing more in the world than to give me my new shiny thing that I can play with it. And they feel terrible about it. And I mean, the people that are going on social media being like, what about my blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I got that to that point with Polaris. It was kind of just because they weren't telling me, like, just tell me what's going on and it'll be fine. But right now you're leaving me in the dark. But you have that choice right then to be like, so everybody that's called me and said parts are delayed or I'm backed up or I'm waiting on stuff, well, I get it. Don't worry about it. I'm taking off a perfectly good seat to put on a different seat. Like, I'm fine. I'm gonna live. Don't stress on it, people. It's fine. So give your vendors, give your friends, give your suppliers, give your dealer. Like, don't go cut your dealer out just because they don't have what you need and stuff. And there's always a way, if you're not in that positive environment and in that positive circle, to make the choice to be that person and start the positive cycle. And I want to say, like, to bring this show full circle, if you're being down right now, or you feel like there's a lot of negative in your life or your friends, or you're surrounded by a negative circle, be the person that starts that change. Be that decision in your group, in your circle, or at work, or in your home with your relationship. Be the one that makes that decision to start the cycle change, and it's so contagious. Like, I already feel better talking to Skinner. I'm a fairly positive individual, but when you surround yourself with higher level people, you come to their level. Be that higher level person.
Oh yeah, it's just like, this year we're behind on snow, and everybody, like, that's why I've been doing all this Facebook stuff. It was like, there's other lodges be like, oh no, the snow's great. And that's like, every time it snows, I do a live video. I always have a sled out front. I try to brush it off so I can measure, and I'm getting more feedback now off Facebook and Instagram of that. And people just like pounding me, which is fine. I don't care. They're like, hey, do you think it'd be worth me driving 16 hours? And I just say, hey, here's the deal. We have 16 to 26 inches of snow right now. It's completely sugar. It is crap snow. I go, does it suck? Yes. But if you are looking to get out and just go mess around and ride and have fun in some areas, I'm like, you got to be careful because a lot of stuff's covered up. Because no one else has snow. I'm like, that is up to you. That is totally your call. I get you guys are itching. Everybody itches when they get a new snowboat. They just want to ride. But then there's that, in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I don't want to do it too early and totally sled the first day, So, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of people hit me up, which is fine. Like, I try to answer everybody on Facebook and all that as quick, as fast as I can. And I just tell them, like, hey, I'm like, it's up to you, man. You might want to wait because we got this 10-day storm system that's hitting us, going to hit us hard. It's coming out of California. I'm like, but then again, you got to think of it more because it's going to cover up more stuff. Avalanche danger is going to be absolutely through the dang roof right now. I've dug pits around here at the lodge, just right here at the lodge, and it's crap. I mean, in September and October when we were getting the snow, it's like, oh, this is awesome. We're going to have a good year. Then it went for like 2 weeks up here at 9,200 feet. We had 5 days in a row where it was 50 degrees this month up here at 9,200 feet. I have never seen that in my life. And I'm like, so that kind of dragged me down, but I'm like, I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, this is no different. This has happened 2 years ago. Then it snowed for 38 days straight, and we got over 200 inches alone in those 38 days. I'm like, it's going to happen.
It can turn anytime.
Yeah, I'm like, it's going to come, and everybody's like, oh, we want to ride. And I'm like, you can ride the trails and screw around if you want to put miles to break in your sled before you go somewhere else.
Yep.
And the hard thing is, with Canada, the border being closed. So that's put a dampener on a lot of people. So now they're looking throughout the other states, Western states. So, but, I was just like, hey, man, the snow's going to come. Don't worry, Every year's different.
Skinner, let me ask you this, dude. With COVID and everything like this, I rode last weekend down here in Alpine, and the parking lot was completely full.
Oh yeah.
Of Subarus and Toyotas and trucks that I normally don't see in the parking lot. And I'm seeing older snowmobiles coming back out. Is that a concern? Like, where do you see happening there, and how can we keep that positive?
Oh, I'm already seeing it up here, man. During the weekends, whether it be snowmobilers, cross-country skiers, backcountry skiers, everybody is wanting to get out, which I think is awesome because everybody has been cooped up for so long. Every state, every county is different for their, COVID stuff. And I've ran into a few bad apples. You're always going to run into those, at the parking lot, and I was just like, dude, I'm like, you're outside, enjoy it. It's a nice day. We're going to see more and more of it. And it depends how long more this is going to drag out. I mean, I've never seen in the summertime, usually 4th of July, our campgrounds are full here. We have over 3 different campgrounds here in one overflow. They were packed all summer long until October 18th. I was just like blown away.
Yeah, this summer was crazy.
I was like
crazy.
You know, and the kind of, I don't want to turn this a sad way, but and the sad thing, it had to take this for people to get back in touch with reality. You know, get out of the cities, go camping, spend time outdoors with your family, you know, not stay at places, go camp and enjoy the outdoors and have fun. And I think more and more people are seeing that now. So now they're like, oh man, we're getting back in touch with everything, you know, because we've lived here in this town or city for too long, and they see their kids going down the same route, technology. You know, all they want is a phone or games and all that all the time. You know, I think after this summer and even like this winter, everybody's coming back to their core where they kind of grew up being outdoors and experience the good positives and the vibes. And so, yeah, it's going to be huge. I mean, like in snowmobiling, skiing, all that. I'm seeing more and more people up here all the time, every day. And I think it's awesome because everybody, you talk to them, like last few days they've been coming in. I'm like, sorry, hey, we're closed. They're like, no, we don't care. We're just so glad to get out. You know, he just bought his first new snowmobile. He bought one, you know, we're just taking them out. They've never snowmobiled. They're loving it because they never done this stuff before. So everybody's experiencing new things, and it's just, and they're picking up on it, and it's a big positive. And that's why you see snowmobile sales this year has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Especially like Minnesota, Maine, and all that. I was reading a deal on Facebook the other day. It's up over 150%. It is nuts. I mean, which is awesome, you know, but the kind of the downside is it's like the manufacturers, they're completely sold out. Like the dealerships all out west, they have no snowmobiles, you know, everything. And everybody's like still trying to call around to buy snowmobiles. And like the used snowmobile market right now is insane. You know, I mean, it's kind of cool, but because everybody wants to get into it again and go out and have fun, you know, enjoy the freedom. So that's what snowmobiling is about, you know. It doesn't matter if you ride down the trail and go sightseeing or go beat up the backcountry. It's just a simple fact: get away from everything and just free your mind and just enjoy life. Put all that bad crap away and just go have fun for a day or the weekend. You know, just let your body relax and have fun with your peers and friends or family. You know, and that's what people are doing, which is totally awesome.
Absolutely agree. Hey, Michael Flower asked if you're running a supercharger again this year, Skinner.
I am. Actually,
on the supers.
I'm waiting on some parts for that. Hopefully they'll be here next week or two, maybe mid-January is what we're still talking. But yeah, I've always been a 154 guy. 154, 155 has been the longest snowmobile I've ever ridden in my life. This year I stepped it up. Kat kind of wanted me to try the 165 with the input, but yeah, I am supercharging my 165. I'm actually going all out on this sled. Anything and everything lightweight is on this sled.
Nice.
It's gonna be bad to the bone when I'm.
It's easy to keep a positive attitude when that's the end result you got to look at. Like,
yeah,
it's fine. Let me ride it. And honestly, ride it stock for a few weeks, then ride it with this part and the next part, and you get to ride it through its evolution through the whole season. Man, that's going to be a beautiful thing. I myself am riding a 155 for the first time like ever in my life, outside of when it was a wedge chassis and still 155. But I never even really hopped on my buddy's Axis sleds that are 155s just because I didn't want to taint my one. You know, I was used to the 163 and I wasn't really in a position to get another sled. So I just never even tried it because I didn't want to taste it. But I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I want to just jib around all day long.
Heck yeah.
So that's how I feel like Cody, I got to ask you, how do you think we did on accomplishing our show name for staying positive through things?
I think we've done really well with this show, Scott, to be honest.
Because
I think that this show I think that it was a better show with Skinner than it would have been with Mark anyway.
I know. I got to go back and change the title so people know what they're going to watch in here on the replay. I like it.
the good thing is, you know, like what you guys do is we always have to have a positive attitude.
Yep.
But still, we can still talk about even like the downs that we did, but we always come back and build it back up to the positive. And that's what you got to have, because a lot of people like, oh, you guys are always positive. No, it's not always positive, man. I'll tell you that 100%. It's your mindset, you know, it's and how you get through it, you know, and that's what we've been doing the whole show, is going up, down, up, down, up, down, you know, and that's how life is. I mean, you get thrown curveballs all the time, and you just got to put your head down and struggle through it. And if you have good core people around you that support you and help you, man, it's just, you know, you just charge right up that and get back up there again. You know,
well, dude, you just went off on how exciting it is to have so many more people, you know, buying sleds, gobbling up the used sled market, going to the parking lot, being on the mountain, being in your honey holes, and you focused on nothing but the positives of that. Yes, there are a ton of drawbacks from it. It is there's a ton of negative we could focus on there. I don't really want to, you know, specifically talk about those or try to solve those tonight. But the best way to be around all those new people that are going to be in the backcountry is be positive, man. Share a positive experience with them. Share a positive experience that maybe why you got the education that you have to go do what you're doing. Don't just rip their ass in the parking lot because they don't have the right stuff, the right, you know, gear. Like, give them a positive feedback situation to where, hey, these are the risks out here. I love them. I embrace them. This is how I choose to manage them. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want your friend over here to be without you coming down the mountain. So here's 3 things that I recommend that you carry with you at all times. And preferably you learn how to use them too. Have a great day.
Exactly.
Let's go that way, guys.
Yeah. You know, you always got to stay positive. Yeah. Even with those new guys, you know, I'm like, well, we can't afford all of it. I'm like, okay, you know, just get these small things first, you know, and, you know, get educated. That's the biggest thing, you know, and learn the terrain, read your avalanche reports every day, you know, and if you're questioning it, you think something's going to happen, don't go there, you know, back out and go somewhere else.
And dude, that's the benefits to getting more education, is those times when you used to question it and it was just a straight up no-go. After you get more education and more fundamentals to build on, you might be able to have a perfectly on day in that spot where, you know, 2 years ago you said that's a no-go when these conditions and these conditions exist. Well, you didn't think about this condition, so we're good. Let's go party up there and see how stuck we can get.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's happened.
So I love it. I had a fun time tonight on the show. We still got 17 people watching this. I appreciate you all. David, Boondock Nation jumped on. What's up, boys? Randy and Michael, you guys are always on here. I appreciate you both. Cam, everybody that's watching live, all the podcasters. Like, we're starting to get views on the podcast, which is super cool. If you didn't know, Skinner, here in about 10 days to 14 days, this episode will be live on Spotify, Google Play. I haven't figured out the Apple thing yet because my life's busy and I don't have time. So we're on some podcast stations, and then we also share the website on the page where you can go just to the host page of all the podcasts. So appreciate everybody that's tuning in. And you're officially on a podcast now if you haven't been yet.
Well, that's first one, so that's awesome.
Nice.
I just want to thank you guys for, you know, Cody reaching out to me last minute. I just get off my snowmobile. I'm like ripping my clothes off, putting regular clothes on. And I was like, give me a few minutes. And I'm like, can you send me the link to Facebook? And I'm like reading through it. I'm like, okay, I got to copy this, paste this here. And I got it. And I'm like trying to set everything up. And all of a sudden it's like, I hit it. And I was like, boom, there you guys were. And I'm like,
super simple, right?
Yeah. Cody's sending me a message. He's like, you get it? He's like, oh, you're here. And that's when I was like,
there you are.
I can only hear every 2 other words from him. It's all crackly.
I do got to say, it looks like you had one company come through on their delivery in time, judging by behind you there. You got a lot of fresh gear. I got to give props. That blue, pink, and black thing be looking good.
Yeah.
So,
It took a while, because it came out of Canada. Everything coming out of Canada right now, what I've been hearing is it's taking a while with COVID packaging, but then it has to sit at the border and quarantine for 14 days before you can get it. So that was tough. I was sweating bullets. I was like, I sold all my last year's FXR gear. I kept one suit just in case. And so I just got it yesterday. So I was like, that's why I kind of hid some of it in the background, kind of gives a little preview.
Nice.
So
it looks like they keep their athletes very, very stylish. So any final words, any shout outs to, I know we've talked a lot about the Lodge and FXR. You got a ton of partners. Final thoughts and shout them out, brother.
I mean, I just got to thank everybody, Octane Inc., Speedworks, Articat. I mean, B&M Fab, gosh, the list is long, I mean, I've been in the industry my whole life, I snowcross race and hill climb for a bit. And, I just been doing this guiding, and they've been helping me out more because I'm more in the public's eye, and I let them get a ride in my sled and, and sell the parts to them and be like, hey, this is what this does. And they're like, well, we don't want to spend the money on this, but I'm like, here, ride my sled, then now go ride yours because you're on the same sled with that part on it. They're like, wow, it does make a difference, and that's the cool thing, is with all my sponsors that help me, man, I couldn't build my sleds the way I do without them. I mean, that's hands down right there, and I'm just so grateful and thankful they believe in me and give me the opportunities every winter that they do. It's you got to give the feedback to them, on everything, which I love doing. It's just awesome. I could go out and do it on my own, but they make it that much nicer and easier for you, because you're talking to the head people, design people, like with FXR clothing. Hey, what do you want to improve on this? I'm like, okay, here's the deal is I'm not an average person. I'm in my gear 8 to 12 to 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
I'm like,
every day.
Change this, I'm like, I'll wear a suit all year. Actually, I wore it for 2 years before I destroy them. My boots, I'm going on 3 years on my boots. I usually average, anywhere from 45 to 6,000 miles in a winter up here. When I was working at Cody, the first boots I gave to FXR, I had over 10,000 miles on them at heydays. I walked in. This is before they even sponsored me. I was like, here's your boots. I got over 10,000 miles on these boots. They were totally shot on the bottom as I run super aggressive running boards and traction screws. And they're like, who are you? They're like, oh my God, 10,000 miles? I'm like, yeah. I took a picture of my odometer on my snowmobile and gave it to them. And they're like, we want to talk to you later. They're like, it's all that with all the aftermarket companies that sponsor me, they're all wanting to work on their product, make it better and better, and that's a great thing. The more positive feedback, even if it's on the negatives, be like, hey, I fixed it this way and it worked for this scenario, but it didn't work the second time. What else could I try to get it, and that's how we evolve. Even as human beings and snowmobiles, everything. That's how we evolve. We have to get past that little stuff, and make it better. And that's
fundamentally at the global energy company that I work for, bring it all the way down to my level. That's what we do is identify where we messed up, make a little adjustment, and then let it run its course and see if it improves the next cycle around. And you get enough of those going, and massive improvements can happen. So whether it's your personal life, whether it's your backcountry gear, your engine, your suspension setup, it's the same thing. It's a cycle, and there's a law to it. But if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, then you're crazy and it's nuts, and you're not working any of the cycles. So it's cool to hear you say that, man. It's fun working with partners. Anybody watching the show that are listening to this podcast that wonders how you do it, Skinner just laid it out there, man. Build the relationship, give the feedback, and test it. to the max, 10,000 miles on boots. I've been seeing some forums on Facebook that people say they're getting like 100 miles out of their boots and they're completely destroyed. And I'm like,
I don't understand how that works.
I don't either. So,
but yeah, there's only one more thing I want to put a shout out for. So Jason Nethercott and those guys are building a sled, a tribute sled to Rob.
Yes, I saw that.
That's going to be awesome. You can go on the page, go to my Facebook page. It's been getting blasted all over the forums for Articat, all over every snowmobile forum. It goes by donation. So if you want to donate $25, you get X amount of tickets, and it just goes from there down the donation. How much you want to donate, how many tickets you get.
Dude, I love
it. They've already surpassed their $20,000 goal. I looked at it today. It was like right around a little over 30. That is going to a great cause. And let's pump that up too, man, because they were good people, and it's going to another great cause for Aries and all that avalanche safety and concern too. So
it's absolutely awesome to see what they did with the Climb Backcountry giveaway sled. Like $150 some thousand the community raised. It goes straight to motorized avalanche education. Amazing feat. I love seeing this trend that's going on, and the tribute sled to an industry legend. I think we can do it again. So yeah, definitely check it out. Skinner's page, he'll share it. I'll make sure to get it up on the Driven Mindset podcast page. I'm sure Cody, it'll be across your pages. Reach out, do that, man. Appreciate you greatly, Skinner, for all you do for the industry, for all you do for your guests, for what you bring the whole level of stoke up and positivity all the way around you. You, my friend, possess a driven mindset and definitely have the driven attitude. So thank you for being with us tonight, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, guys.
Yeah, Cody, absolutely, buddy. Thank you for just jumping.
Go ahead.
Did we pause up a little bit?
I
just wanted to say thank you. If Skinner's still in the back, just tell him to chill for a few minutes, and we'll come back around and we can have the after show, as we call it. But Skinner, if you're still back there, man, thanks for coming on, man. It's always good to see you and chat with you. And thank you for all the mentorship you've given me over the years. And it's been great, and it's definitely pushed me as a sledder. So thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Dude, I think we accomplished every bit of what we set out tonight. Our goal was met on how to maintain a positive attitude across all situations. I know I pulled out of that some new stuff that Skinner had said. Do you got any immediate takeaways from that you can roll with this week?
I mean, Skinner's lifestyle has been a part of my lifestyle for a really long time. Like, I think I met Skinner when I was like 14 years old, and he was living up at the house in Jackson at the Redneck Racing House at that point in time, or maybe he was still working up at Togedy. I can't remember, but he's had this positive influence on my life for a very long time. It's been hard for the last few years being away from him quite frequently and everything. I don't ever get to see him anymore, but I try to remember everything that my mentors and, the older people in my life have told me. And one of the things I've always taken from Skinner, and that's kind of why I really wanted to get him on the show tonight last minute, was just that positivity that he always holds, man. And the man has definitely taken some hard blows in life. But he just always gets up and keeps going and keeps that positivity rolling in his mind. And that's really what it takes. That's how you get through the hard times. And, in my last year, I kind of forgot about that to, just keep that positive mindset going. And, that positive mindset will just keep you going up. The second that you start thinking about the negatives, your day goes to shit, or your year, because it takes it just like it's funny because once it takes one negative to just landslide. It's like when we first started the show, I can't remember how we describe. Still relevant. It starts a landslide, and then it takes a really long time to come back into a positive mindset all the time. So it's so much easier to just hold that positive mindset and keep it rolling and keep the positive vibes. Surround yourself with positive people, and the negative ones, be negative over there. Don't be negative here. Yep, exactly. I'm sorry to say that. I've been saying that a lot. It really is. It's hard to cut the negative like that, but I've been saying it a lot lately to a couple people in my life that I'm going to do it. And I have been, and I'm feeling way better in life and staying way more positive. And once you start thinking positive things start to happen, and it just escalates. So,
dude, it's the same as the negative stuff, man. You focus on the negative, just more and more of that attracts to you. It's the same thing, but I will say this, like the positivity, I would say, has an exponential curve to it, where the negative, you're just going to continue to slowly go downhill until you're down. You start bringing that positive stuff in, surround yourself with the positive people, put the positivity in your head. And I'm not talking about blind positivity, y'all. Like, we all struggle with stuff, and it's not always perfect, but it's exponential, because then your circle around you, they can pick up on that quicker. They notice that maybe you're off that day, and your circle can lift you up quicker. And once things start flowing in the uphill direction, man, it's exponential. It increases rapidly. So it's always the right choice.
Yeah, man, it blows my mind. Like, you can literally have the best day, and when you're down, like one little thing can happen and it can change your entire, like if you're thinking about the negative and you're not thinking about the positive, it will literally change your entire attitude right then and there. But if you look at that negative and look at it as some sort of a positive, find any positive in that negative at all, then you change your mindset completely and entirely.
That's the ownership, brother. That's taking extreme ownership of whatever the negative situation is. That's how you do it. I got to say, man, dude, I got to get to this green room after party. I need to take 5 and have a break. So can I drop you in the room with Skinner and wrap this show up for the evening? You got your final? Was that your final thoughts, or you got something left?
That was my final thoughts. And as always, Scott, thank you for, doing this show with me every Wednesday night. I'm pumped on it. I think the audience is pumped. And like you said, we're growing every week. So, let's just keep it rolling and keep the positive vibes high. We're coming into winter. Let's roll.
Storm doors open. People, man, I loved tonight's conversation. Every week I pull something different from either something a guest says or Cody says, and at a bare minimum, I hope the same for my listeners out there, that you find something on this show to help you roll through the weekend. For most of you, maybe at the bare minimum, you latch on to the storm doors opening. It's time to go fill the stoke jar up. So with that, man, parking lots are going to be crowded. The situations are different out there. Most of us are getting a bunch of fresh snow on a pretty unstable base. So make good decisions out there. Make positive decisions. If you see somebody that's heading down the wrong decision path, do your best part to reach out to them, help them out, raise the positivity, and give them a reason to go over to the good side, the good meadow, the good place, and keep that jar full, man. Fill the stoke jar, have fun, be safe, stay driven, and no matter where you're at, no matter what you're up against, like Cody said tonight, there is some sort of positive in there. And if your parts are delayed, by God, you'll be fine, because these snowmobiles come with parts on them already. Just write it like you got it. Have a good one. Stay driven, yo. Hold on. She's